Hey everyone, so today we are going to be learning Lesson 6 from Chapter 3. So on your notes, you should have Chapter 3, Lesson 6, Estimate Quotients. And then in your focus notes, you should have, and I added main ideas here because a lot of times we don't ask questions or write questions down, but we do put main ideas and then slash questions and our notes over here. So I'm not going to show the table of contents today, but you do have the title right here, so you can put that into your table of contents, okay, and then make sure you're putting the page number. So when we're talking about estimating quotients, the word quotient might be new to some of you, so I'm going to underline that a little bit with a little squiggly. So when we're dividing, we're finding a quotient. So just like in lessons 3 and 4, or in lessons 2, when we were multiplying, we found a product. So when we divide, we find a quotient. So I'm just going to put like a little divide sign right here. Okay, that divide sign is telling us that when we divide, we find a quotient. So I have some vocabulary terms right here ready for us. So the first is quotient, then divisor, then dividend. Okay, you might have heard some of these already, but we're going to go over some of them. So, if, for example, okay, if we were dividing like 48 divided by 4, okay, I want to divide that, and I'm going to put this in long division format. So it's going to look like this. My denominator is going to go on the outside, and my numerator goes on the inside. Okay, so this number our denominator is going to be our divisor. And I'm going to highlight our divisor with a yellow highlighter. Okay? The numerator is going to be our dividend. Okay, and this is also our dividend. And I'm going to highlight the dividend with a pink highlighter, okay, so we know the difference. All right. So, and then once we divide those numbers, okay, we're going to get our quotient. So, 48 divided by 4 is going to be 12. And this 12, that's our quotient. Okay, so our quotient is like our answer for a division problem. All right, so now that we know all the terms, let's write one more term. So today, a lot of what we're going to be doing is estimating quotients, which means we want to think of the answer to a division problem really quickly. So in order to do that, we need to be rounding and we need to be finding compatible numbers. So let's write that down. Compatible numbers. Compatible numbers means they are numbers that are easy to divide mentally. Okay, so in the above problem, 48 divided by 4, that was kind of easy to divide mentally, okay, because we know that 4 goes into 48 a certain amount of times, and it goes into 48 12 times. So we are also going to be using this multiplication fact chart today. So if you have it, I would take it out. You can get this in class as well. So here is 4, okay? And if I follow my multiplication chart table, I find that it goes into 48 12 times. So that's how you use it, and we're going to be using this today. Okay, so first example we want to do is an estimation of 11.75 divided by 3. So when we're going to be dividing 11.75, dividing a decimal, first we need a round. Round the divisor. Or I'm sorry, round the dividend. So let me just going to cross this off. You're lucky if you have an eraser. Okay, so we're going to round the dividend. And remember, our dividend is going to be this pink highlighted color. So that's our numerator. So I'm going to highlight this. Okay, so we are going to be rounding the dividend. Okay, so here's how you would write it in long division format. But again, we don't want to do long division. We want to just think of these things quickly. So if I asked you, hey, what's 11.75 divided by 3, you may not be able to think of it so quickly. That's why we're going to round. So 11.75 is closest to 12, so that's what I'm going to round it to. Okay, and 3 also goes into 12. So if I look at my chart here, okay, 3 goes into 12 exactly 4 times. So I also found my answer. So now I can think 12 divided by 3, that's going to be 4. So about 4. Okay, so now if you want another example, this was from example 1 in the book, okay? So in our math book, and then also example 2 in the math book, they are both having you round the dividend and then estimating the quotient. Let's try one where you estimate. You're going to estimate another problem, but you're going to round the divisor. So let's estimate 32 divided by 3.8. Okay, so we are first going to round the divisor. And again, our divisor is going to be the denominator. So I'm going to highlight this yellow. Okay. So if I write this into long division format, it's going to look like this. 3.8 divided by 32. So we want to think of this really quickly. So first, I can either think of just rounding, so what number is 3.8 closest to, but I also have to think what number is 3.8 closest to, but that it will also go into 32. Because remember, I want a compatible number, and a compatible number is a number that are easy to divide mentally, okay? So I'm going to round 3.8 to 4, and I know that 4 easily goes into 32. I could also use my little fact chart here, my multiplication chart. So if I look where 4 is, 4 will go into 32, okay, exactly 8 times. So I'm going to round this, and when I'm rounding, I'm going to round this number, so I'm looking at this number. And since this number is 5 or more, I'm rounding up. Okay, and that's a lot easier to divide. So now I don't even have to use long division. I can just think off the top of my head. 32 divided by 4, and I'm going to know that that's 8. So I write my quotient up at the top. Okay. And again, let me just highlight this to show that this is the divisor. All right. So now we've done an example of rounding the dividend, and we've done an example of rounding the divisor. So in your math book, you can get more practice rounding the divisor problems, the example problems 3 and 4. Okay, so this is in lesson 6. All right, let's practice. Let's practice having to round both the divisor and both the dividend. So draw a little squiggly line. Okay, now we're going to estimate. Let's do okay, and I'm also going to put the page number here, so page 250, 225. Okay, so if you want more practice on estimating the divisor or estimating the dividend, okay, go to these pages. So page 224 and page 225 if you want more practice. I would also do the got it problems. So for our last example, we are going to round, or we are going to estimate the quotient for, let's do, how about we do number 3, okay? So number 3 on page 227. So number 3 on page 227. Okay, so number 3, page 227, we're going to estimate the quotient. So that means we're going to be dividing 35.7 divided by 11.4. So now both of our numbers are decimals, okay? So we're going to have to round both of them, and we're going to have to think of compatible numbers. So again, numbers that are easily, that you can divide easily and mentally, okay? So let's rewrite this in long division format. So here's our denominator, and we're going to write our numerator on the inside. Okay, so 35.7 divided by 11.4. Now, which one is our divisor? Our divisor is going to be, well, if we look up here, our divisor is going to be the denominator. So I'm going to highlight that yellow. Okay, and then I'm going to highlight our numerator pink because it is our dividend. Okay, so I'm first going to round. I'm going to round the divisor first. So when I'm rounding the divisor, I need to come up with a number that will be compatible for this to make sure that it'll go into 35.7 or whatever number I round it to. So first, let me just worry about 11.4. When I round 11.4, I'm going to round it to the closest whole number, and that would be 11. So I rounded 11.4 to 11. Now I'm going to round 35.7, but I also need to keep in mind that I need to choose a compatible number so I can easily divide mentally. So for that, I'm going to look at my multiplication chart, which is right here. Okay, so I rounded 11.4 to 11, so let's go to the 11s column right here. So I'm going to look, I'm going to keep looking, and it looks like I have 22, 33, 44. Okay, so I can choose from one of those numbers. 35.7 is what we have, and it looks like 33 is the closest to that. So following along where 11 is. 33 is here, so I'm going to look up. And looks like that's 3. So if I multiplied 11 times 3, I would get 33. So I'm going to round 35.7 to 33. Okay? And over here, I'm going to rewrite it. So then I have 11 on the outside because it's my denominator, and 33 on the inside. And right away, I know that the quotient is going to be 3. So 11 times 3 is going to be 33. Okay, so once again, when you're estimating and you have to round both the divisor and the dividend, okay, you're rounding and you're finding a compatible number. I would definitely use your multiplication chart. It will help you. Make sure you do the got it problems, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.